So initially the point is how to get into the terminal window. We are going to discuss about how to study or use or start using shell in the Linux system. So if this is your now whatever you are seeing in your screen is the normal one of the desktop Linux desktop. I am using Debian operating system. So in this particular operating system distribution, if you click on right click onto the mouse, then you're going to get to the following options. Out of that, you can see here open terminal, open in terminal. Then you can get a terminal window. This is the location where you can type in various shell commands, whatever we are going to discuss today in today's class. Similarly, another option you can get is that you can go for a menu from your operating system, where in the search you can type terminal. Now look into this. Whenever you type terminal, there are multiple options in my desktop as of now. One is called the mate terminal, root terminal, and different versions, different implementations of the terminal software, which will give you the access to the shell, and there you can type various commands. Similarly, you can notice here one of the terminal called root terminal. When you type into when you try to log into this, it will naturally ask for a super user password, and you will get a terminal window which is going to have a super user or a super user permissions. One second. Either you can go for this particular command terminal, and the background color etc. Here you can change it using edit command and if edit and preferences. There are multiple different options of the text colors, text size, font size, colors, background color and text colors, etc. etc. You have multiple options. So according to your taste, you can set all these particular settings, and you can have your own different profiles. Okay, coming to the topic now. Now, whatever you are going to see is a shell command, the terminal window. Here you can type in various commands. Now, before that, a very fundamental concept. Okay, let me increase a little, zoom in some fonts. You can go for changing the font size also using zoom options. Now this dollar symbol is called command prompt. Listen carefully. This is the dollar symbol is called command prompt. This is the present working directory. Because I opened this terminal from the desktop, I am in my home folder called Manmohan. I am in a separate subdirectory called desktop. So here, this is where I am going to log in. The moment if you select terminal from the command line. Okay. In case if you get a super user access, say now I will get a super user access for me, then you can notice that command prompt is going to change. Now the command prompt instead of dollar, it is a hash, or it is also called as a pound, P-O-U-N-D, or hash symbol. Anyway, the cursor, whatever is blinking here, black cursor, this is the cursor window. Whatever we are going to type in this particular command from the keyboard will be start displaying from that particular point. This is about getting into command terminal. Next, how to choose a particular shell. What do you mean by shell, etc. We are going to display. We are going to explain now. Now here, in case one more, the for the moment in the today's class, we'll start with the very basic command. In the last class also we discussed it briefly. If you type who am I, note down the case also. Linux is case sensitive. I am typing all the commands using lowercase alphabets. Who am I? Then I am going to get my username. And similarly, one more command we'll discuss in detail about this, one of the very useful command called grep. There is a command called grep. Now my username is Manmohan. So if I want to get more detail about my user account, Manmohan is my user account in this particular computer, then I can try to in case if you have a Linux machine here at your disposal, you can also practice this command, but your username should be your username, not grep Manmohan here. So now look into this particular command. Actually, whenever one user account is created, one entry, my user account detail is stored in a separate file called password, PASSWD. Now here you can notice this particular line. This is the user account details, particularly my user account details in this case. And first one is the username Manmohan. Then there is a symbol after a colon, there is an X. Actually, this is the location where the password is stored. Password is confidential, it is encrypted. That's why it is just displaying X here. And this 1000, actually this is user ID. Every user in a Linux machine, even if you create to 10 user, 5 user, 100 user, whatever it may be. So every user will be identified by a code number or else identity number. My user ID is 1000, and naturally again I will have one more ID called group ID. That group ID is also 1000 in this machine. Then my full name comes into. Then optionally you can fill many other details also for a user account. What are those details? Let us defer it to the next discussions. Then this particular parameter /home/Manmohan, this indicates that this is the user account. When I say user account, in case if I create one user account in my computer, in a separate folder, within a folder called home folder /home, in that subdirectory, one new subdirectory is created with my username. Now in this moment, my username is Manmohan. So /home/Manmohan is my home directory. Home, we call it as a home directory. When I say home directory, the moment after once if you log in into a user account with the username and password, whatever the data you are going to store in the computer will be stored within that folder. Even if you download some files from the internet and if you save it, that will be stored within your home directory only. You are not permitted to store the data in any other location in case if you don't have any special permissions to store it in other locations. So all my files, whatever, even if I create one new file, that also will go into this folder called Manmohan. Within that folder or the directory called Manmohan, you can create many more different subdirectories also. Automatically Linux creates one folder called desktop within that Manmohan folder, within my home folder. And another automatically created folder will be documents. Another folder automatically created will be downloads. And another automatically created folder will be in my computer, it is called music. And another folder will be created for video files with the name called video, and another folder called public. By default, many more folders are created, and this number of files and its name may vary from one Linux distribution to another Linux distribution. When I say Linux distribution, Ubuntu is a distribution, Debian is a Linux distribution, OpenSUSE is a distribution, Mint is a separate distribution, etc. So the last component here, after the last call information here, you can look into this /bin/bash. This is the default shell program. Within the folder called bin, there is a program called bash. This bash stands for bourne again shell. Now, this is the shell program. Whatever we are now viewing, this dollar symbol, hash symbol, cursor, typing various command, etc., is within the bash program. Now, actually, the bash program is running. The moment you log into a terminal, bash will start running. Bash is a terminal program. Now, from here, if you go to /bin slash directory, here Linux will store many different command files. Whenever you enter those commands, these programs will get executed. Bash is a program. Now look into this. Within this, just view the content using ls command. See, all these are different commands that is used inside, used at the command prompt. Different commands are there for different purposes. So anyway, now we are discussing about the bash program. Now let us study one by one different commands, what we can do in this particular screen, etc. So in the previous class, we also discussed about a command called, say, date. Now look into the output, whatever we are going to, we are getting here. Similarly, one more command we discussed is about present working directory. That says that the present working directory is /home/manmohan/desktop. I am inside a desktop folder of my user account. Similarly, here the look into the format of the date that is being displayed here. It says week, month, date, system time, and the time zone is Indian Standard Time. This is the year. These details are displayed because of by using date command as well as the pwd command. One more command we discussed is about host name. This is the name of my computer now. During the installation of a Linux operating system, you will get one option of name your computer or give a host name. So my host name is Mantra. Now any user, whatever may be the user account, you will get a domain name also. Say for example, my username is Manmohan at Mantra. Mantra is the PC name. Operating system detects this PC by a unique name, and user account at Mantra is my computer, my ID in this particular system or computers. So similarly, one more command we practiced is about, this is called ls. When you say ls command, content of the desktop folder is displayed here. It contains many different folders like industrial training, lab, tools.zip, seminar, etc. are the different directories which I created for office purpose. And also note that ls command can take different options as well. Say for example, you can see -l, look into this, -la, -t, etc. This is the option you can give to the L. There are many more different options. You can always learn more about ls command by typing man ls. You practice that. After that, note down some important or interesting commands, whatever you want to learn, and try to remember it. The moment I say hyphen L, ls command is executed with the hyphen L, hyphen A and hyphen T, the output is will be something in a different format. Now look into without ls, what is the output? Now if I say this command, if I enter this command with these options, the way the content of the directory is displayed is in a different way. Just notice this, much more information. The contents are same. Say Acharya Enterprises, there is one folder. Then there was a CN is one folder. Now you are going to get different information regarding each file content. For example, take this example of this particular folder. Say, okay, this folder, the first one. Now carefully look into all these contents. You are going to get initially the first part is D, then you are getting RWX, 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 etc. This is called read, write, execute permission. Note down in file permissions, R stands for read, here this R. W stands for write and X stands for execution. Now you can notice one set of read, write, execute permission here, and the first character is D here. This D, first character D, says that this is a directory, that is cn underscore 2020 underscore 21 is a directory. That's why the first character is D. If it is a ordinary file, the first character will be blank, or a hyphen will be displayed, saying that it is an ordinary file. So first character is nothing, or a hyphen symbol is available here. Now look into this first read, write, execute permission. The first set of read, write, execute permission is for user, or else owner of the file. Remember, owner. Owner has got read, write and execute permission on this particular folder. Owner can read the content of that directory. User can modify, write that. That means modify in the sense you can delete or create some new files in that directory. Then you need write permission. Execute permission is to execute a program. If you have a executable in that, whether user owner can execute the permission. So this first set of read, write, execute indicates that owner of this particular folder, that is Manmohan, has got read, write, execute permission. Similarly, the next set of read, write, execute stands for group permission, because here multiple users can be created. And now assume that I am going to create user account for each one of you. Now out of that, I may select some few students. I will add them to my group. Okay, my group, call Manmohan's group. Then if I go for a group management, all my group members also will get read, write, execute permission. That's what this read, write, second set of read, write, execute says, that owner's group members also has got a read, write, execute permission. Then what about others? I said that everybody will have a user account, you and me. I will select some of you and I will say that you are in my group. Then I can give you read, write, execute permission. Then what about remaining people? Remaining here in this particular case, I have given a permission for others also. That means everybody can get read, write, execute permission in my folder. So first set of read, write, ex, note it down, it represents owner's permission. Second set of read, write, execute permission is a group permission. And the last set of read, write, execute permission is permission granted to others in this particular folder. This is about the permissions, different file permissions. The beauty of the Linux operating system is that a owner of a file can decide about this permission. He can keep permission only for him and remove read, write, execute permission for others. Then nobody can view that particular file in the computer. If I set permission only for me, and I can ban you all from accessing the contents. That is also possible. Or else optionally I can create some users groups, and that group I can add to my group, and I can give them permission to the groups also. Then I can give whatever the permission I wanted to give to them. All these read, write, X, read, write, X, read, write, X, 3 sets, user, group, and others. These file permissions can be set or reset individually. Sometimes for a group permission, I can give only execute permission. Or sometimes I can give only read permission also. Or sometimes I may not wish to give read, write, execution for others. That's also possible. If your permission is removed, then you will get these symbols. Now look into this one lab file here. Look into this file permission. Here, first hyphen indicates that it is a normal file. Then first 3 permissions, it says only read and write. Execute permission is removed. Owner also cannot execute the program. He can simply read or modify, read or write. And next set of permissions for group is R and minus minus. That means group members can only read this particular file called lab1.zip. They are not permitted for writing and executing. Similarly, others also will have only read permission. Others also removed from or they also removed from the permission of writing and executing this particular file. So in your folder, if you create a file, if you are the owner of the file, you can determine what should be the file permission for yourself and for others. If it is in a very confidential file, then you can ban others from reading this file by whatsoever manner. You can simply remove the permission, read, write, execute. Or in case if you also fear that accidentally this file may be removed and you don't want to do that, then you can keep only read permission. Don't give the write permission. Then nobody can delete the files. This is about the permission structure. Now anyway, now again we'll look into that, how to change the permission, what is the command used to change those permission, etc. We'll discuss it a little bit later. For the moment, I want to draw your attention to the fact that any command can be used with the different options, something like this, ls-l-a-t. Here what happened is that with the -l, you are going to get detailed information regarding the file. But again, the file, all these files are sorted in time also. Latest files will come at the top, old files will go to the end. Say July 21 is the oldest file here, which is created at 9:58. Then next is 9 o'clock 59 minutes on July, and so on. It is possible, and you can change this permission also. And again, one more thing is that this usage of option is very flexible. So instead of using ls-l-a-t, you can also type it with ls-lat. One single hyphen is also sufficient. You are going to get the same output. This is what you need to remember. And in case if you want to get more information about what is this L, what is this A, what is this T, then you can type man ls. Look into this. -A stands for all type of information. Do not ignore entries starting with the dot. Every content should be displayed. And then again L is the list detail. Then again for T is the sorted in the time order. All these details you will get it. See. Hyphen T says that sort by modification time, newest is the first. In this way, you can browse through the directories, or you can search for a particular file or in a particular folder by using ls command, by listing it properly, the way in which you would like to view the content. And the next command is that single letter option also can be followed. Say, for example, one more option if you want to create. Now look into this permission here. One more. Now, okay, whenever some manual is displayed, you can come out of the manual by pressing Q key, Q for quit. Then you will get the command line, or is the terminal mode. Then you can type clear also. Clear will clear the screen. Something like CLS in Windows, you can do it. So the next is the one more command, whatever we are going to discuss. So that is uname. This is about the operating system. When I type uname, you are going to get this particular detail. Say, for example, what is uname? Type man uname. Print system information. This prints this system information. Here also you will get different options. Say, for example, -a all information. -s is the kernel name. What is the kernel name? Name of the kernel you are going to use. This also displayed. Say -r, -v, etc. is displayed here. Now look into. We'll try these commands. Uname. The moment you say -r, you are going to get one code number here. This is the version of the Linux kernel. When I say kernel here, for the moment you remember that or note that kernel is the core part of an operating system. Now I am using Linux kernel 4.19.0-10 64-bit operating system. So if you say uname and if you try to display all information regarding system, you're going to get these details. Complete details about the Linux operating system, the one which I am using. Linux is the operating system, Mantra is the machine name, and 4.19 is the version number, and release date, and the distribution name is Debian. Kernel name, current distribution is 4.19.132-1. This particular release is the latest one, released on 24th July. Okay, this is the complete details of an operating system. Similarly, if you look into this date commands also, date also you can, normally when you type date, you are going to get this particular information. So you can add some, if you want to output in some different format, so you can type the commands something like this. Now you can try this and see that. Look into this, the way in which the output is displayed. Now it is in detail. Here it is displayed as a THU for Thursday. Now you are going to get it in this particular way. Now time is displayed, year, date is displayed, month is displayed with the full details. Like this, any command, any Linux command can take multiple options to format the outputs. In case if you want to find out the information about your identity, when I say your identity, user's identity, there is one more command which you can use is ID. detailed information about my one particular user account. Here for the moment you need not bother much about the details whatever is printed here, but it says that your user ID in the computer is 1000 and your group ID is 1000, username is Manmohan, and in this computer you have only one group called Manmohan because I am the only one person using this PC, so I didn't create much different groups. Then it also gives the system information. ID number for the disk is 6, 24 is for CD-ROM, 25 is floppy drive, etc., etc. These are the system assigned. Any device connected also will have an ID. So I am using scanner. That scanner is identified with an ID number 117. And I am using a software Wireshark in this machine. That Wireshark application software has a user ID called 126, etc. These are the operating system. The ID is used by the operating system to find out different applications with the numerical number instead of names. Similarly, you have one more command that is called command is let me clear the screen. Who?
So,
Yeah.
so there are two things over here. One is ADM and one is LP admin. Can you tell the difference between the two?
Which command ID? Here you want to say?
So like there is one ADM and then one is LPA
Yeah,
admin.
LPA is for a line printer. Okay, in case if you are configuring printer and all, that admin software there you can maintain print queue, etc. Particularly this is one application used for in case if you are using a print server. If you are using your computer or a laptop as a print server, many more clients can connect to your computer and get the printout. Printer may be connected to your computer. You can share the printer among other people. In that case, how to manage that administration part is also identified with the numerical value. That's it. That's why for the moment when we go for system administration part of the subject, we will study about these things. How to manage a printer in a Linux system, etc. Even this look into this application called SAND. Actually, this is a scanner software. Okay, this is different versions of the scanner daemon process, a process which controls the scanner. This is the device identified, scanner device used to connect to this particular laptop. And here there is a software called UBridge, which is used along with a network software called GNS3 for the network connectivity. And here there is one piece of application software, particularly when we in the network, when you configure the networking, and if you want to integrate Windows and Linux machine, this WinBind and Samba share is required. Okay, all these details for the moment you need not bother now. Just for the moment you ignore it. During the system administration part we will discuss it. Now ID is one command that gives additional information regarding the users. Similarly, the next command is who. This who also can take some different commands. Look into the details for the manual man command. Say for example here, it will, because Linux is basically designed as a multi-user operating system. At a time, multiple users can log in into the system. In that case, who are the users currently logged in? Then you will get this particular detail. Now only one user, I am the only one user in this laptop. In case if I set up this computer such that you can log in remotely from your location, then your user account also will be displayed here. Then here it says that this measure in this particular machine, today I logged in at 9 o'clock 18 minutes. 9:18 is the latest login time to the user account. Okay, this PID stands for process ID. What is a process and what is its ID we'll discuss it later. Now the moment I log in, operating system creates one instance of user. Its ID is 1851 currently. Whatever it may be, who command displays who is logged in into the system. -u option says to add information about idle time and process ID. and -h asks that a header be printed. This header is here, this one. This is header. To print this header, I am giving h option. Just simply try with the command without h, see what happens. Then no header is displayed. Now, so some of the commands we already executed, right? Who am I? Host name, date, etc., etc. Where these commands are there in the computer, that also you can find it out. Say, for example, if you go to cd/bin in a computer, a directory called bin, if you type ls, as I said before, see, you will get various command contents here, file contents. Say bash is a content here, then cat is a content. What is the cat? That I will display. I will explain it later. Su is the command that you can use it in the shell. See, all these are shell commands. Remember, say pwd is a program, rmdir is a program, sh is a program. Whatever the commands we executed so far, say for example date command, that program is here, date. Then say host command also we tried, that program is there. Actually this host name, all these commands are stored as programs in a folder called bin. So that's why whenever you enter a command called date here from your home folder. Now look into this. I type pwd, present working directory. This pwd is a program in the folder here, in the bin folder. The moment I type pwd, that program is executed. Similarly, the moment host name is executed by typing, the moment I type it and press enter key, you are executing that program. That program gives the output to you. Host name, pwd, ls, everything is a program. So that is located in a separate folder called /bin. In this way, Linux stores all the executable commands as a program in different system folders. And you can execute those programs even if it is stored within bin folder. You can execute it from anywhere in the Linux PC. Even from your home folder, you can execute the program which is stored within /bin. Date source code or the object code is there in the /bin folder, but you can execute it from your folder, your home folder also. This is made possible by using one of the feature called path environment variable. So what is this path? Now look into. See, echo is a command to display something. Echo, then I will say $. This is a command, part of a command. Echo and argument for echo program. Echo is a program here. Echo argument for that program is $PATH in capital. Note it is case sensitive. Then you will get the output here. Now what is this output is? The result shows a common default path for a regular Linux user. Directories in the path list are separated by colons. Most user commands that come with the Linux are stored in, say look into these entries, stored either in this user/local/bin, or else commands may be stored in /user/bin, or else commands may be stored in /bin. The content we have already seen it, or else those commands may be stored in user/local/games. But game software etc. may be stored in that particular folder, or sometimes it may be in /user/games. Some object codes or the system programs may be stored in /user/bin. Every operating system distribution has got its own standard. They will divide various commands and store their code or the object code in one of these folders. Whenever any user enters the command from in command line, automatically operating system will look into this path. Initially it will try with this. Say if you type date, this shell program bash will search for the date program in this folder. If it is available, it will execute it. Otherwise, it will try in this folder. Otherwise, in this order, it will look into this particular folder. Again, if the file is not found, it will try to search in this next entry or else the next entry and so on. This is where generally when you say path is the set of locations where operating system's terminal looks for executables. This is this content also you can edit. While discussing shell programs, we'll try to modify this path environment variable also. Now look into, say for example, one more command called type. If you say type bash, try with this command. Then it says that bash program is located in /bin/bash. This says that object code for bash command is this one. System engineers or developers already wrote that program and kept it in this. You can try to write your own command and you can store the object code. After compiling it, that object code can be stored in any one of these folder, and then you can work with that also. Similarly, you can try with, say for example, type date. It will say where is the bash command, date command is. Similarly, you can say type pwd. See, pwd is a shell bulletin, some information also you will get it. PWD is already also built in within the shell also. Okay, that is we also called as an internal command here. So another useful command is say locate. If you say locate some command, you can write, say for example, date. See here, if it is command is wrong, it will say paste locate command not found. If you say check it with the other command, say if you try with now here also say one more point to note here. Now the locate command, I am trying to use a command called locate, which you can install it separately from the command from in your Linux distribution also. Now it says that always type something, say your own commands like Manipal. Just try to enter here. It will say command not found. Or else if you say type Manipal, say not found. So why this error is displayed in all these cases? That means that this command is not available. These commands, either Manipal, etc., is not available in these particular folders. The moment I type Manipal, as usual, the moment I type Manipal, operating system will search for a program called Manipal in this particular folder. If a command is not found in any one of these folders, then it will come out with one error message saying that command not found. Okay, if you say command not found, sometimes if you are trying with some legal command, I mean commands which is shown in textbook, again if you get a command not found, that means that that program is not installed. You need to install it manually. Okay, this is about this particular commands and how a command is located in the folder in a particular system. Now, is there any doubts or discussions required in this particular portion? We can discuss now. Any doubts?
So,
Yeah.
is it possible to grant a user execute permissions without read permissions?
It is possible. If you are a owner of a file, even if a normal user, you are going to create one content by logging in with the username and password, you may create some files. Then you can use the chmod command. We are going to discuss that in the next section, how to change file permission, etc. User, group, and others permission. We are going to discuss it in very details. Okay, how you can give only read permission. No, everybody can read your file, but they will not be able to edit it. That is possible.
No, sir. I mean, but without reading, can you grant and just execute permissions without giving read permissions?
No, not possible. No, there are some conditions. There are some, whenever we say execute, actually sometimes we need write condition also. Okay. Okay, there are, for execute permission, there are some requirements that we'll discuss. That's why I told we'll discuss it in detail with when we discuss the next shell programming. There we need to automate so many things by using chmod also. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other comments? Any other discussions you want to make here?
Sir,
Yeah.
so when we ID, the detail of the currently logged in user will be displayed, or the detail of all the user will be displayed on
No,
this?
currently, because Linux is a very secure one. If you don't have a proper permission, if you don't have a normal permission, you can't get the details of other users. Okay, that is the very important feature of an operating system. You just can't touch other users' details. Okay, when you say ID, your ID is being displayed. What are the services or the permissions provided to you? Now you say, for example, if I create a user account for you in my computer, I will decide as a system administrator what should be the permission to be given to a particular user. Well, okay, that is also the permission settings can be done for individual user accounts by the administrator. The so-called root user is the master of the computer. He will maintain or administer the system. If you are the owner of a system and if you have a root password, you can set the permissions for every individual user selectively. And you can control their access levels in your computer. So you just can't get other details. If a administrator permits, and if the administrator makes you also one of the administrator, then you can get it. Otherwise, ID command is normally ID of the currently logged in user. Clear?
Sir, can we give only write command without execution command?
That's what the question just now answered. If you want an execute permission, then you need read also. Okay, the details will go to the next. How to give execute permission? Who can give the execute permission? All this change permission, even though there is another concept comes into picture. The moment you create a file, you are the owner of the file. You can give the ownership of the file to another user also by chown, change owner command. All those things are there. Now, for the moment, you remember here that every file, every individual file has got different permission attributes. Read, write, execute permission for read, owner of the file. Read, write permission for the group file, for the group users. Read, write, execute permissions for others. And all these permissions can be manipulated by chmod command in the Linux. Just remember that detail. So first of all, the first character in the ls command is a D for directory, hyphen for normal file, etc. And the second information you need to remember is that every file will have three type of ownerships. One is owner of a file, another is the group owner of the file, another is others who can view the file. owner, O-W, owner, O-G and O. Okay, or else we say UGO, user, group and others. Owner permission, group permission and others permission. Each of these three set of people will have read, write, execute permissions which can be manipulated. That is a point to remember at this particular moment. Then the next point, whatever we are going to discuss, is about how to create one file, etc. So going to that particular point, how we can create a file. In the last class also we discussed about one command line editor. I will go to the particular command line once again. Now if you want to create one new file, there are different ways. One of the ways is that you can use any front end or the file editors. There are many file editors available like Notepad in Windows. Okay, the one of the editor is gedit. This you have to install it in your computer. Many a time by default it will be there in your computer. If it is not there, you may have to install it manually. The moment I say gedit, then you have to give a name to the file. Now for the moment I will name the file with something like x1.dat for the experimental purpose. Then just press enter key. Then one application, see this particular tool, this editor is running. Now you can type whatever you want here. The contents can be created. After creating the content, you will have a save option. So different options are available. You can create a separate, create a new document also if it is not X1. Look into this. The file name kept is also named here x1.dat. Now if you want to save it, click on save. The moment say now I'll type some meaningful sentence at least. If I write some content here, then create this a text file, then save it. File name is x1.dat. That's what the name I gave. Now it says saving, then close the file. Content is stored. Now all these messages you are going to get because I am getting a graphical front end called gedit. You can clear it. Now you can look into that content. Cat. See, cat is one more command to display the content of a text file. The file name whatever I gave is x1.dat. Try to print that. It will say I typed Manipal, Bharat and Vande Mataram. The contents are displayed. This is how you can create a file in a graphical way. Sometimes beginners may find gedit is comfortable. Then you can do it also, no problem. Gedit and name the file. Press enter key. Then you can type something there. Then save it, close it. Then again you can come back to the control terminal. This is how gedit can be used from the command line. Otherwise, if you go to the menu program, here in the menu also you can search for some graphic programs like editors. See, there are different text editors available. dconf editor, ebook editor, slave editor, text editor, etc. are the different type of text editors. Say text editor, if I click, you will get this. Whatever I executed with the gedit is the text editor. You can get that from the graphical front end also. Similarly, there is one more editor called sleeve editor. That is a different kind of application. If it is that needs some permission also. So super user permission. Anyway, for the moment, I'm not going to that. You have to configure that sleeve editor. It comes with its own different facilities, undos and formatting it to some extent, etc. Now, anyway, this is the one way of easiest way of creating a file using gedit. Or else there is one more powerful program command line program called VI editor. Its improved version is available with the name called Vim. With the Vim, you can type program name or the file name and press enter key. Then you will get this particular content in the terminal. You are in the terminal already. I opened already existing file. But how to work with this editing, working with the VI editor, there is a small amount of learning curve is required here. Now actually we are in the control mode. We can view the content here. Now in case if you want to edit anything, if you want to modify anything, now you have to press I key, insert key, first of all. Because this editor works in two different modes. One is in a control mode and input mode. Now if you want to go to input mode, that means that to modify the content, just press I. The moment you press I key, in the lower end of the screen, you are going to get that option called insert. Now you can change it. Now I will change the content. I made some changes into the file. Now I am in insert mode. How to go to insert mode? Remember carefully, listen carefully by pressing I key. Now I have to change the mode to the control key and I have to save this particular file. If you want to save this file, you should go to the control mode. To go to the control mode, you have to press, listen carefully, to go to the control mode from the insert mode, you need to press escape key. The moment you say escape key, that insert command will disappear at the bottom of the window. Now you need to press shift key and press colon. A colon is displayed there. Shift colon. Then if you want to write this particular content, whatever after the modification, you need to simply say W for write. After write, you quit from VI. I say WQ. You can also write WQ and file name. Now press WQ, you came out of that particular, you will come out of that and then press enter key. So you edited that particular file called VI. Now you can check cat x1.dat is the extension, whatever I gave, just press it and check it. See the command, look into this particular content in the file. So this is a very basic how to create. In case if you want to create a new file, you type vm x2.dat, a new file name I will give. You can give the new name to the file, then press enter key. You will come here. Now VI editor is coming. Now you look into the bottom of the screen. It says the x2.dat is a new file, no content is available. You are at a cursor at line number 0 and the column number 0, etc. Now in case you want to insert, to go to the insert mode, you just press I, then you will be in the insert mode. Then you start typing content here. Content can be created. Once if you are done with that, you can press escape key and colon write quit WQ. Press enter. Content is created. Then say cat x2.dat. Then you can view the content. Now these are not the only two commands available with Vim. Say for example, once again if you want to go to that command, you can say open VI editor. Here there are many different commands. Say for example, if you want to go to insert mode, press I as usual, then press something else, and you can store it with, this is, now you know this. Then again if you want to go to that edit file, now if you want to delete one row, you should be there in the control mode. Now you are in insert mode. Now assume that you want to delete this entire line. Then you can simply go to control mode by pressing escape key. Then you can say DD, line is deleted. Once now cursor is in the last line, if that meaningless word you want to remove, once again press DD. Like this, there are several different commands with the VA editor. So you have to just practice using VA editor. So details and some important set of commands also you will get it in the textbook. With that once you can practice using VA editor. Normally we also in the lab we write C program using VA editor, which is quite fast also. No need of any graphical commands for that. Now once again I will go to command line. And one more command, a very interesting command is history. Now if you say history command, we can get all the some different previous commands whatever we tried. Say I will say history 10. See, these are the 10 previous commands whatever I used in this computer. In case if I say history 20, this is a very useful command. Sometimes if you want to find out what is the command I worked today, you can always get it with the history. So Linux shell command can remember all the commands whatever you worked in your machine. So if you say history without any option, it will display all the commands actually from the day one, the different commands you worked. See, I used to download some YouTube contents. That command also being displayed here, or some configuration commands. See, these are the different commands I used in this machine on after the installation of this particular.
So, sir, even
Hmm.
when we have closed the terminal, then also we can retrieve our history.
Yes, yes. See, all these commands I didn't work for today. It is long back from the after the installing this particular machine. I worked on this.
So what if we don't want the user, like we don't want to share our history then?
That during the installation process you can switch off history commands. That is possible. History you can change it also. That is during the system administration we are going to discuss about it. Okay, how to do all these things. By default history you will be remembered that you can everything can be controlled. Everything can be controlled in a Linux system. And remembering history as a student when you are learning is very useful also. You can simply press up see old arrow keys to repeat the same command once again. Need not type everything once from the beginning. See, today whatever the commands we worked, everything is displayed here. All these commands are worked. See, this is one shell command, one environment command yesterday. Some days before I tried here to work with that. Actually, this SHLVL is a shell value command. Echo is dollar and capital SHLVL is environment variable. Now the output is 1. Now in case, now bash is running here, my shell program is running. What will happen if I once again type bash here? Bash is already running, shell program is already running. Once again I will execute a shell. Then you will get this command. Once again get a terminal. Now if you type echo dollar shell value VL, it will say 2. Once again if I type execute bash within this, If I try echo $, it will say 3 and so on. This is one more command. Actually, this is called process control. First of all, bash was working. That bash program calls once again one more bash. That time it says shell value is 2. Again, I am executing within that bash, new bash. Once again, I am executing the same program recursively. Then it says this is the third time, third execution, etc. Anyway, this is about the commands, date, etc. And one more feature is that you can nest together various commands. Sequentially, you can set. Say, for example, I can say ls, and after that I can write a semicolon. Then I can write a date. Now look into this. Both commands will work, ls and date. First of all, ls is worked. This is the output. After that, date is worked. This is possible. Now I will say I will say pwd. Then say look into this output. ls is initially worked, its output is this. After that, the next command was date, that is worked here. And finally, pwd command output is this. In this way, we can write commands very sequentially. Okay. Yeah, now any doubts in this so far, whatever we discussed? Anybody? See, all these set of commands you can remember only after practicing it in your own machine. By reading it, it will be something like listening to some pravachan, will not help you much. Once again, I will remind you about the man command and its importance. Any help if you want to get regarding a command, you can say man and then write the command name, whatever you want. Say, for example, there was a command called pwd. Then you say present working directory. See, print the current working directory and what are the different options. This is more than enough for anybody, any student to learn more about different Linux commands. If you want to learn how to use man command, type man. It will tell you about man command also. And if it is installed in your system, I have to find, I don't know in this machine. So there is one Xman also. See, this is a text graphical front end will come for the manual. So it is there here in this. The moment I type Xman, you can maximize it. Then you can look into manual page, click on this. Graphically, you can go for different options. See, different sections. You can see section user commands, chapter 1. Then different commands are displayed here. So for all these commands, you will get help. Say, for example, I will select one command here. Say, what command I can try for you now is, say, for example, okay, double click on that, any one command, you will get the same output, whatever is you are going to get it, but in a graphical way. Like this, you can go for that. If you want to search for any command, then search option is also available. Search, say, for example, host name. Then you will find out what is the host name, how to use it, etc., etc. Full details you will get it. Okay, man or xman command, whatever is comfortable, you can try practicing it. Okay, for this part, you can always refer to chapter number 3 from the textbook. How many of you obtained a textbook? You have a textbook with you right now? Anybody? Yeah, Abhishek Deshpande. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
How, do you have textbook? Did you obtain ebook or Linux Bible?
No, sir.
So you have to do that. Then use read it, and again assignment and all will happen from the next week onwards. MCQs. So for that you need to refer to the textbooks. Okay, the detailed information and there may be one mock test also. If the mock test is required, I will inform to you in the group MS Teams at any time, not during the regular hours. So keep a watch on the MS Teams, particularly for the group. So if you want any, the time on 20th of Thursday, I think it is 20th, we will have a test. Assignment one, not the test. Any doubt or any clarification required in this regard? Further officially, I will convey this to you in the MS Teams. Whatever the information I want to share with you people, I will use only the MS Team platform. So always look into that. After that, don't say that I didn't watch, you wrote, but I didn't watch it, I was offline. Don't give those reasons. Okay. Yeah. Any questions now? As far as today's, I think I done with at least the basics of the shell commands. Then in the next chapters onwards, we have to go in detail about shell programming. If you have any doubts, you can discuss. Additional information, whatever, the textbook is final, not even my teaching. You should always refer to textbook. If something is left out, refer textbook and practice it in your computer. And now today,
Sir,
yeah, tell me.
do you have the textbook PDF, or do we have to find it on our own from somewhere?
Because it is actually you will get the textbook, search for the Linux Bible, that textbook. It is available as a PDF, download it. Okay. I don't want to share it here officially because copyright act and all will come into picture. So we are not, so I am not going to do that. You do it. Book is available in the internet, or you buy it if it is not available. Even buying that book is worthwhile. It will be there in your tabletop for a quick reference. All the textbooks are available in the internet also, in the public domain. You can use it. And once again, how many of you are trying to install Linux in your PC now? And how many of you are successful and how many of you are failed?
Sir, I installed in my PC, but my PC started lagging.
PC or a laptop?
Laptop, sir.
Which is your laptop?
Asus something, sir. I don't remember the model name. Its core is i3.
Core i3. Yeah, which version you tried in that?
The Windows 10, I just went to Google Chrome and saw whichever I wanted. I directly typed Linux download.
No, Linux download in the sense which how you install? Have you followed proper procedure? Did you wrote it in a CD or in a pen drive?
No, sir.
Then
from hard disk, sir. I actually called my friend here and he did all of it. I didn't really know how.
So it was not successful.
No, sir. It started lagging a bit, so I asked my friend to remove it because it was affecting this one also.
No, actually you have to install it in a different way. You have to write that image in a pen drive or in a DVD, and you have to boot it from the DVD. And you have to make a room for Linux first of all in your hard disk. There should be at least around 100 GB of free space in your computer hard disk.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay, then you install separate. Don't install within Linux, I mean Windows operating system as you're using virtual machines. That will lag.
Okay, sir. Okay.
For that, or else you have to get it installed from some experts in you. Where are you now?
Send home.
Home and Ranchi. Okay. If you find any professionals that they can help you out in that. Any one Linux distribution is okay. I am using Debian, and the college in our computer lab we are using Ubuntu operating system. Ubuntu latest version is 20.04. Debian is version, I think it is 10 now.
Okay, sir.
Whatever you install a latest version, okay. Latest version you can install. The hard disk, the ISO image will be around 4 GB or sometimes around 2.2 GB, etc. You have to download it and you have to write it systematically in a pen drive or a DVD. Then you have to boot from that pen drive or DVD. That is the procedure of installation.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, any doubts? Any point you want to discuss regarding assignments? So keep a watch on MS Teams for any updates from our end. Okay, we'll meet you on Saturday in the next class. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.